This session will be taken by the convener of this workshop, Mr. Sayantan Lahiri, and he is going to present a topic that is SOP and research writing in the IRM way. So Sayantan, stage is yours.
So the host has asked me to introduce myself. So just for the last 4 days you have seen me with the camera, and another introduction is all the emails you have received are majorly written by me. So I have hopefully I have communicated with you well. So this will not be a lecture. This will be an interactive session because I am not a Sanskrit person. I can't read Sanskrit. I did my MA in English literature from the same university. So you can think of myself as a part of you. So this will be a very interactive session where we are trying to first explicate the model, IRM model. What is IRM model? I sent you the Google form, and almost the data we have, that almost 75% said that they don't have any idea about the IRM model. What do we mean by IRM? So hopefully by the end of the workshop, you will have a good idea what do we mean by IRM. So in this presentation, I will try to present the IRM model, what do we mean by it, and especially in the context of research writing. So this hands-on session will be more focused on research writing, and as we do in any literature research, we need a text. So for this session, the text will be all the SOPs you have written. Okay, so but for specifically, I have tried not to be personal, so I have omitted any names. If there are names mentioned on the SOPs, I have omitted that. So we will only look at extracts from the SOPs just as a specimens. So let's begin. Yeah. So we can start with, when we think of writing, there can be some questions I will just try to pose as a thinking point to begin writing or approach writing. So the first can be, where to begin our writing? How to begin? What should be included in the introduction section? How am I going to make a case for myself or argue in my writing? How to structure the writing? What should be the ideal length? Is there any anonymous understanding of it? Actually, I use the term anonymous, but you have already, all of us have listened to Professor Jayaraman, and he used a very interesting word which I will want to change the anonymous with. He said, is there any unified paradigm? So this unified paradigm is a great word to change with. So is there any unified paradigm or understanding of what should be the ideal length of a written work? And last but not the least, how to organize paragraphs, and where should we break the paragraphs? So this is not just a slide, so we can start the discussion. So if we can give a mic to the audience, you can just start speaking, and you can share your thoughts. What do you think about any of the questions mentioned? So is there anyone who will want to talk? Just take any question mentioned on the slide and you can share your thoughts. So we can move forward. Yeah. So as Sir also mentioned, so if we are going from a macro level, the essence of any written work will be the three levels, that is structuring, argumentation, and presentation. That is the linguistic aspect of the writing, and IRM can help us in each of the above levels. Okay, so this is the case studies I am giving. So we asked for SOPs from each one of you, and we didn't give any rules or regulation or structures. So this is what we have from the range of SOPs we have received. These are some of the examples or extracts, you can say. So my aim is to, in these slides, are to show that there is no similarities in the length of what should be an ideal length of SOPs. There is an inconsistency because we received some 1 or 2 sentence SOPs. this is the shortest we have received. And this is the longest SOP we have collected. So clearly there is an inconsistency that the writers are not sure how long an SOP should be. Yeah. So this is probably, to me, it is a very suggestive opinion that this can be taken, this SOP again written by one of our participants, and this is the positive and negative. That the positive is, if you have done some poor writing, I will not be personal intentionally, but the other side is, if you have written a very good write up, I will not take your name also. So this is an extremely good example. So we'll be back to it again in the next slides. So this is the IRM model we have done over the last 1 year or so with Professor J.S.R. Prasad sir and Dr. Shridipa ma'am. So we have tried to interlink the interconnected 4 ideas which are Tantra Yukti, Tantra Guna, Tantra Dosha and Sangati. Professor Jayaraman sir has already discussed at length what are they. I will just only briefly touch upon the Sangati part. That Sangati is the principle that underlies the organization in proper sequence of various logics that comprise a treatise. So this is also another model of structuring your writing. So this is an extract of the paper or poster we presented in IIT Roorkee, the first national conference on IKS. So let's go back to the questions I asked in the very first slide. I think this is visible because it's a screenshot from the poster. Everyone can see the screenshot, right? Read it. Yeah. So the first question is where to begin. So what does IRM suggest? So as Jayaraman sir has already asked, that we are starting with Adhikarana, Prayojana, Niyoga, Sambhava and Pradesha. So I will only take it for 15 minutes, so I don't want to go to everything. Let's talk about only Adhikarana, which is topic or subject matter. Where should we begin? You should clearly mention either in the title or in the very first sentences or in the first paragraph what is the subject matter or topic. So let's take the example of again the SOP. So when you are writing the SOP, what should be the topic or subject matter of your SOP? What do you think? Just say, anyone can just. Prayojana is the aim or objective. What I am just asking about the topic or subject matter. So when you send an SOP to us or anyone, we are looking something in your writing because we have to select you for the participant. So what should be the topic? Where should you start the writing? What should be the topic? See, to me, you should start something about yourself, something interesting that makes the board or selection committee, whoever it is, being interested about yourself. So what do you bring to the table when you participate in the workshop? Who as a participant, what do you bring? What is your unique positioning? So that can be the Adhikarana of your SOP. So let's take some specimens again. This is changing, yeah. So let's look at the first example. Sanskrit is that language which holds the key to mankind's ultimate source of jnana. So who are you? This is very vague. Second, being a research enthusiast and aspiring academician, I always look for opportunities which help improving my understanding on research and its methods. Still better than the first example. But again, why are you here? Third, Bharatiya Anusandhana Paddhati is the need of current academic milieu. First, it will be helpful to negate the effects Western coloniality which has influenced Indian brains with Western research methodology. That can be a great sentence for a brochure or a concept note. But it's nothing about you. Next. So in our IRM model, which is very specific to Indian research methodology, which the way it differs from WRM, I think you have understood from Professor Jaraman's talk as well, that IRM is very reader centric. So you write in a way in which the reader is expecting to read your paper or research writing or thesis or anything. So you write so that, as he was mentioning about the order of the structure, that you mention A, B, C, D, E, then when you explain, you start with same A, B, C, D, E. So as a writer, if you are writing in B, C, D, E, then A, it doesn't harm your writing or argumentation as much, but it harms the reader. So when you are writing, you should always think about who is your reader, to whom are you writing, why will they read your work. Have you considered these two questions when are you writing? What do they doubt? So if you are arguing something or making a case for yourself, you should know what the readers doubt. Then you can provide evidence that work. If you don't know what the readers doubt, how will you convince them? Which is persuasive writing. What do we do in any academic writing? What is the level of language expertise? Is the language you used in the write-up intelligible to them? So this is, again, I just want to add another sentence, that this is, don't think that this is only one way. That you are writing, you should think about the organizers of the workshop and they will read your SOP and they will. When we are also reading your SOPs, we have also to look at your level of language expertise. So we also know that not all of you are from English background or anything. So we can't keep a level of language expertise. What do we expect if it were a 100 students only from English department or Sanskrit department? We cannot expect the Sanskrit understanding or the level of Sanskrit knowledge from our participants when we are selecting the SOPs, that everyone should know this level of Sanskrit knowledge when we are shortlisting SOPs. So this is both from the writer and also when we are in, let's say, within course position of power in selection committee, we should also think about who is our audience. So let's look at again the structure of how to structure the written text. So there we have tried to link the Tantra Yukti with Tantra Guna to show that how whether these concepts are interrelated or not. So the way, let's take the example of Vyakhyana, so which is a explanation or elaboration or clarification, as Professor Jayaraman sir said. So this idea is linked with the Tantra Guna Trividha Shishya Buddhihita. So what does it mean? That your writing should be intelligible to three kinds of scholars, which are experts, which are those who have medium knowledge, and those who are a beginner. So when you are writing, you should not write in such a way that only the experts can understand it. Your writing should be intelligible to also a beginner who is just entering into the study of the Shastra, which is by far the greatest disparity between Western research methodology or academic writing you think of and with the Indian research methodology. If you read a translation of, because I don't know the Sanskrit language, I have read English translations of Professor Lele's book or others. I can guarantee you, even if you don't know the topics, if you just know the English language, you can understand what they are talking about. Just with the language of English. You can start with the English translation of Charaka Samhita. You will very good understand it. But if you take a recent research paper of quantum physics, you know the English language. Will you be able to understand that research paper? Or I doubt a sociology paper with Derrida Foucault or with Lacan. Again, let's take a specimen about the structuring. So this writer starts with, I am more interested in Bharatiya culture and knowledge since childhood. Again, very vague. I attended many workshops on this and 2 courses on Brihat community like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Ayurveda. I also took courses like Sanskrit learning, Rigveda from Bhandarkar Oriental site, and learning shlokas meanings from our mantras. I am more interested in philosophies from Indian tradition, and I am an independent researcher on these topics. I am into film editing field, so I am more interested in Bharatiya knowledge and to include this in movies. So this is the sentence which interests me when I am reading a applicant. This is the most interesting sentence that gives me your unique positioning, that this person, this writer is into film studies and he or she is trying to implicate or apply IRM into film editing. So this is like a thought experiment. So I have tried to rewrite the whole SOPs using IRM models, and I have made that sentence the first sentence. So I am a student and practitioner in film editing. So just for a disclaimer, all the sentences that are mentioned in blue that are added by me externally, all this is in black are just taken from the SOP. So if we start with, I am a student and practitioner in film editing. Specifically, I am interested in how to apply Bharatiya knowledge systems in filmmaking or film editing, because he mentioned movies, which is a very broad topic. So in which area does he or she want to implement it? To explore more about this problem, I have educated myself by taking courses in the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Ayurveda and Sanskrit Sahitya. To continue my exploration in IKS, I am now currently learning the meaning of the Sanskrit slokas from our ancient mantras. So kindly accept my request for participation, as I hope this workshop will further contribute more to my explorations in applying IRM in the film studies. This is just to show you that the potential, the content and the sentences, ideas, everything is there in all of us. What we lack is only the thought, structure and language. The content, structure and language, the three aspects, Professor Jaraman also said. So just by this, as you can see that almost 80% is the word, sentence, everything I have kept as it is. I have just added 20% from IRM. And it has just made so much sense. So again, let's take a good example again from one of the participants, just to show that if you can use good use of transition words, how it helps in the reading of the readers. So why I have chosen this particular SOP, because there is no a paragraph break, right? This is just a passage. So just to show that what is the difference between this write-up and this write-up. Both of them are written almost in the same manner, as it like a look wise, right? In a single paragraph. So the first thing, if you are now, let's change the position. Instead of a writer, you are a reader, and you have to read a SOP. You have so many SOPs, and you read this text and this text. What will you write? Oh, what will you read? You don't know about the language, what is there, any interconnected ideas or whatever, just by the look of this. And this doesn't work because of the block letters the writer has used. Because whenever you write in block letters, the first thing your attention goes is to the block letters. This works if those are the 3 or 4 ideas that you want to highlight in the SOPs. But the block letters the writer has used is Vishaya, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Sanskritam. So none of these 3 words tell us anything about the writer. And when I read the SOP, my attention directly goes to that. So that's why this writing doesn't work. But on the other hand, if you look at this write-up, look how the writer has used the effective use of transition words. And note the verbs, because in any writing, this is the basic, that if you can know the adjective and verbs effectively, you can make your writing so good in just, this is a trick, easy trick. So look at the verbs the writer has used: interested in, believe that, participating, and the transition words. Not only help, but also I see this course as additionally, finally, overall. So if you give your reader that, okay, these are the arguments, this is how I am connecting my arguments, and not only connecting arguments, I am showing you the exact words. I am giving you the exact words how to follow. So you make road for the reader to read your text, not just this is my write-up, now you deal with it. So let's go back again to that good example. So this is where I should end, and I let the floor be open. This is a good example according to me, but you have to say why. Why does this writing work? And you have already had the opportunity to listen to Jayaraman sir's detailed 2 lectures on Tantra Yukti. So you can say whatever you want. Why does this writing work?
Why did it that Sir, he has correctly mentioned what is his research area and how the Indian, IRM workshop can help him, because he is in most need of that.
True. Look at the first phrase. What does it contribute to? That this write-up is addressed to a reader. Right? Then look at the first sentence. I am going to pursue PhD on the topic this. So a bit of identity and the topic is mentioned. Next, my doctoral research is centrally based on IRM. So this gives a good prayojana, or as you were mentioning, the aims and objectives. Next, the writer has specifically mentioned the word aim. Then gives elaborations and examples and everything. Then the last sentence of the paragraph is, in dealing with such a vast literature with diverse research traditions for ancient India, the approach would be more of critical analysis rather than exegetical. Right? Yeah. So here the writer takes on a different approach. So from the initial part of the paragraph, the writer is trying to convince me why the writer is a fit choice for the workshop. In the last sentence, the writer shifts the tone that I have a problem. Help me solving my problem. So this is a very good surprise element for anyone who is reading the SOP, right? The tone shifts. If you can learn how to shift the tone, you have won half the battle. And then the writer breaks the paragraph, and I am willing to incorporate IRM principles into my own research projects and whatever, equipping myself through this workshop with the necessary knowledge and skills. So the writer is specifically mentioning what outcomes he or she is expecting from the workshop. So not only the writer has addressed the audience, introduced the topic, mentioned in a sentence how his candidature is linked to the workshop, then explaining. The last sentence of the paragraph, tone shifts and introduces the problem which the workshop hopefully will be able to solve. And then the second paragraph, just one sentence, the hope the writer has from the workshop. So look at how the structure, the content, structure and language, if they come together and create a write-up, how easy the reading process becomes. And the easier the reading process becomes, the better the reader judges a write-up. So
So they can even ask you why you consider so.
Okay, so I can show you this. Yeah.
You can ask why does this something like this? You can have a question.
What this? Yeah. Okay, the 10 seconds long silence will. Okay. Okay.
See, can you go back to the what we thought, what you presented as a very good, right?
Yeah.
See, this is not to question you or to trouble you, but to take us further. Okay. See, now, if we took this, I'm going to pursue PhD on the topic consciousness and its determinate indeterminate ... My doctoral thesis. See, I can do a academic writing, Western tradition oriented analysis of this and say that it is good writing. Okay. So by analyzing an SOP from IRM, what is our purpose? Are we saying these new Western terms already are not something that we are learning and they're teaching us only now? We've had it then. So are we mapping Tantra Yukti terms into, so the research aims, see, PhD, the research aims to explore and details. Now, I would change in the research to in this research. And that will give me more coherence with the research. In this research, the study of various would be considered. Now, in studying, in dealing with such a vast literature, which is a link to Niyamshara, all the texts that are mentioned there. So that is good cohesion. Cohesive device used. With diverse research traditions, the approach would be. And of course, this big jump, that is why a new paragraph. So I can analyze this without using Tantra Yukti. Okay, that's why I said I'm not criticizing. I'm trying to help us as a group understand what are we, how is Tantra Yukti, is it contributing in terms of terms or in terms of better analysis or both?
I think both, and the major thing is in the nuances. Because I was speaking to Dr. Srideepa yesterday also about the conclusions and the types of conclusions Tantra Yukti mentions. Ekanta, Nikanta, and others. So the first thing, if you look at any academic writing book, the first thing they ask to start a research paper is giving a background. So what do we, the students, think of background? Give a historical detail. Yeah. So if we look at Tantra Yukti, what should be the first sentence? What is my topic? So there is a clear distinction between the first paragraph. Second, I will say, even the Western research methodology also understood this problem of background, and they have now packaged it in a bit different. Now they are saying, no, you want background, but the role of the background is to create a problem. So now they have shifted from background introduction thesis statement to problem solution and benefit of solving the problem. This kind of a structure, this hourglass method is brought to narrow to again broad and went. So, but again they are asking you, okay, so start in the Genesis. So, but if we follow the Tantra Yukti is more, as I mentioned, is more reader centric. So as Professor Jayaraman sir also mentioned that when we as readers, because this is a very like common sense I find, that we are both writer and readers, that we often forget. That you can just take a notebook and just write your own feelings when you take a book and when you read. So what is the first thing we look for when we take up a book? The title. Then we go to table of contents. Then I just quickly skim through which portion is relevant to my research or whatever. Then we look at the introduction. And it's better if in the first sentence or in the first paragraph, the writer mentions how is it, what are the topics or what are the themes it will deal with. So if you start with the Adhikarana, which is the subject matter topic, you are clearly signposting the reader that, okay, this book will be about this. So when as a reader we take up a book and we are thinking of, okay, so the first sentence gives this book is about this. So you can save a lot of your time if you thought from the title that this book can be of use of my research. But if the introduction first sentence says this book is going to deal with this, which is linked to the title, it is an elaboration of the title. So you can, okay. So you can clearly understand that how this book, you can take a decision whether to go on reading or dropping the book. Yeah.
Can you just clarify how in the Western way of writing, we start with background only and not with the content?
Not with the content, not. So, yeah. So, if you...
No, I'm just comparing about a book, thesis, and all those works.
Okay.
When we see the thesis also, we are giving an abstract in the first.
Right.
And in the abstract, we won't be giving a historical tradition. So, we will be directly pointing out the content.
Yeah.
So that the person can understand it, and then only we will start the first chapter maybe as a historical analysis. And when we go to a book also, there will be a preface where the content will be clearly noted. But in the ancient Sanskrit works, we don't have a preface.
Right.
We don't have an abstract. So they start with the content only. So I think the comparison should be made between somewhat more matchable things.
Yeah, but whatever, yes, that's a great point. So now what we have, we're working on a paper about this. So we were downloading thesis from Shodh Ganga, which is the repository. So you can go and check how many abstracts are there of any thesis. Hardly, how many abstracts are uploaded for a thesis? Yeah. So I think the number won't go more than 30%.
No, let me add to what Sayantan is, because I've been supervising and then evaluating research for quite some time. Very often, in the name of abstracts, I have found that the first paragraph of the introduction chapter is cut or copied and pasted and thrown on at my face in the name of an abstract.
But
This is more than 75%.
my doubt is, can we say that is a Western style?
See, we are not, let us go by this premise that there is no, milking of IRM. Probably this is one of the first few workshops using IRM. So that means we are not using IRM. Then what else are we using? We are using Western. Wait, let me finish. No, let me finish. Just wait.
Clarify the question, ma'am.
See, how do you know?
Has been clarified. We will answer. Please take.
So we have not been using IRM. We have been using Western. Because if you're not using this, then you're using something else. Now, what is that something else? You have the name of Western research methodologies. Now, what happens, the problem that we have identified, and which is the crux of our entire project, is that Western methodology is inadequate and not directly usable. It creates a lot of confusion in the minds of research writers and also in the minds of research supervisors. Because I studied Western methodology. I have an A+ grade. But when I come to apply it, I'm confused. And in this confused state, I go and teach research methodology. And I evaluate research, writing. My confusion is multiplied. You understand? Though I'm an A grader, I did 2-3 papers in Western methodology and all of them 90+ is what I got. But then when it comes to application, I studied, yes, I'm qualified. So this paper and this number proves that I'm good at it. But when I come to apply it to my own research as a PhD student, or as an article writer, or as a chapter contributor, I'm not able to make that connection. So where did I lose it? So this is where I found my answers on a chance discussion with Professor Prasad. And then we said, we must work on this. Because this amalgamation happened, and I was ready to accept that there is a fault in the Western methodology. And I found the answers over here, and that is how the whole project came about.
Excuse me, madam, is it the fault in Western research methodology or is it ethics? Or is it in the student way? It's an ethics problem or it's a fault in Western methodology?
It is a comprehension problem. It's a fundamental problem.
No. First thing, what I want to say is when we are discussing about IRM models, first thing we should stop comparing with the Western research model.
That's what.
That's first thing. And then when we are finding a fault, is it really a fault or it is in ethics, plagiarism and all? You see, you just told abstract is copied from somewhere without any basis.
No, not from somewhere, from their own thesis.
Yeah, their own thesis.
Huh.
Okay, that means, see, abstract is even in our Nirdesha also from their own thesis they have to say Uddesha.
No, that is okay. You take it in such a form, you take the essence of the thesis and make it an abstract. But in 80% of the thesis that is published,
But is it the fault of supervisor or the methodology fault?
I would say a combination of everything. Because the supervisor also does not know. I'm confessing.
That is okay. No, I'm not pointing out anybody.
No, that's what I'm saying.
See, I consider it as only ethics problem and
It is not just ethics. If you say ethics problem, it's only a limitation. It's a very small way of looking at it. It is common sense, which is not common.
how I look at implementing IRM for the youngsters is what is not available in modern research methodology and what is easily we can comprehend from here is to be applied there.
Correct. That is still evolving. We don't have answers yet. It's still evolving.
That is, in that evaluation we are involving the youngsters
Correct.
who are engaged in the research.
Correct.
There ends the matter. We need not, his doubt is, if I understood well, why we are comparing and what is the problem in the modern research.
Ma'am, just 1 second.
Hmm.
See, you told about the Western methodology.
Correct.
See, there are good works in Western methodology.
For example.
For example, many works are there. Ma'am. I'm not comparing any.
No, give me one example. When you say there are many good
One
works.
example, ma'am. What example?
No, when you say there are good works.
Good works in the sense.
Huh.
See, there are different styles of writing.
Right.
And there are Western people themselves
Huh.
who have told about how to write, how not to write, and all. Different books are available.
Now, who are these people? What are these books? Unless we get the details, we cannot make general statements.
Just I will just tell about some English language using text. I
Correct.
think you may be you might
Tell
be
me.
aware of,
Come.
aware of such books.
Correct.
Different books are there now. Different books are there, and those books show us how the language is used in a vague way, ambiguous way, correct way, etc.
Correct.
People are trying to incorporate that in their works also.
Fine.
So there are people who might be incorporating such things, and there will be others who may not be able to do that.
Correct.
So it's not actually the fault of the Western style, maybe. That's what I'm saying. Even if a student has studied in IRM, if he is not personally interested in doing that, he won't do.
Agreed.
So our wording should be little bit more clear that it is not the fault of Western. It is not the fault of Indian. It is the fault of the person. And if I can get something good from Western methodology, if I can get I can get something good from Indian methodology, I can apply that.
You can.
That's
Who
better.
says-
And this way of presenting a topic in Tantra Yukti like Adhikarana, all these things, I'm using this word. Please don't break me in between. Don't mystify those things. Mystification in the sense I'm saying this is something which is not written elsewhere. We can't say. Jairam sir also told that this is common sense, but we are not applying that. So this is there in IRM, maybe in every research methodology. So those things are there, but something will be unique in IRM. Through these texts and all, we can understand that. So I think he also told that we should be applying them. But I think for this workshop, if we are using words like this is the fault of Western, but we have already written this, or we have the best version, etc. I think that is not a fair practice. So this is what I am trying to
convey, ma'am. Thank you.
Namaste everyone. I'm not supposed to talk today, but still the situation is demanding. That's why I'm talking. Don't mix language with the subject. There is a lot of difference. For Indians, research is not a subject. Research is culture. Research is value. This is basically has to be understood by everyone, which is very important one. Of course, tomorrow I'm going to touch that part. But still, I have to tell this one. That's why I'm telling. Coming from the point of language, the language Sanskrit is something unique, something different, which we are supposed to realize, which we are supposed to understand. It is having its own strengths. It is something beyond other knowledges, other languages, and it is having its own unique characteristics, which we cannot decode till today. Being a doctor, I'm telling this. So there is lot of requirements to do that. Okay. So that's why don't club the subject with the language. But for Indian research, that's why I'm telling this. For Indian research methodology, language Sanskrit is mandatory. Otherwise, it's not possible to understand the Indian research methodology. This is not the condition with any other research methodologies existing. So this research culture has to be understood first, which is very important one. What this Indian research culture that has to be understood. That's something unique, that's something special, which you will be able to understand if you look into this with two different perspectives. So tomorrow we are going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about research culture tomorrow. So I don't want to explain everything today itself. So then tomorrow nothing will be left. So please don't club both. Don't talk from the point of language regarding the concept of research. Don't talk from, no, I'm just talking. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just telling. Don't think about research from the point of language. But in Indian research methodology, we have to club both. How we can tackle this, how we can understand this, that we will come to know tomorrow. Of course, what you said, to some extent it is correct. We are doing everything retrospectively. That's because of some educational variations, some educational dichotomy what we are facing, because of which our thinking is also like that only. So whatever we study from primary to PUC, the method of studying will be entirely different. Then we enter Indian education system or Indian educational knowledge system. Automatically what happens, our thinking has been grown up, our thinking has been developed with that orientation only. So automatically a teacher has to bring the student to this system from which the thinking of a student is going on. So automatically what happens, everyone should come from that particular angle only, which is very essential to communicate the information whatever is present in the Indian education system or Indian knowledge system. So these issues we will touch tomorrow. Today itself, I don't want to talk everything today. Tomorrow we will talk about this one, because I am talking about the research from the point of subject itself, not from the point of language. So then you come to know how research culture has been developed in Indian tradition, which is very important one. Research is something specific in Indian tradition and Indian culture that we are supposed to understand first. Thank you.
I just concur with what Professor Srivatsa mentioned, the language and the research. We should not club these two things together. Sorry, I have a bad throat. And one more important aspect of IRM is, for example, if you look into the characteristics of a researcher, this is not at all addressed in WRM, Western Research Methodology. Nowhere they talk about the qualities of a researcher. Researcher. How to do research, how to formulate a hypothesis, how to test it, how to evaluate, how to analyze it, how to conclude with some kinds of results. This many things are only clearly defined. But what about the qualities of a researcher? Today morning, Professor Muthulakshmi Madam was telling about that Sishya Agrahana. How the person is not grasping the subject matter. What are the problems? Pramada. Some sort of qualities are there which need to be removed like this is called Kantakodharanam, debugging in programming language. That is the
Are there in Western tradition? So I am just having the difficulty that.
no. I appreciate your definitely. This is samvada. Definitely.
When I hear something that is different from what I have read,
Yes.
or from some trustworthy sources or something like that, I can't agree to that easily. So you just told that in Western tradition nobody has told, or such things are not told. So when you compare the ancient Indian texts of BC period, we have the ancient Greek texts in the Western period. We have Plato's dialogues. Here you can see Socrates as a model for an inquirer, okay, or a seeker. So there you can see how should be a seeker behaving. And after that you can see the medieval philosophy, and after that modern philosophy comes. There are different people like Descartes, Locke, etc., who have told about how truthful a seeker should be. So in
But are they part of research methodology?
why not? Why not?
No. You are trying to equate. I agree. But are they part of research methodology? No.
The Vedantic ideals which Muthulakshmi ma'am discussed today, it is not actually part of a research methodology text.
And of course, but still, you yourself positively responded to that question in the morning.
Upadesha Sahasri,
Yes.
Brahmasutra, etc. So it is used in the philosophical works. Similarly, they were used or they were mentioned in the philosophical works. So I am just trying to say these qualities are very important. So in today morning when I told that a true researcher should be like a seeker of Vedanta. A true researcher should be like that. That is something that we can incorporate from India, in tradition. But actually, the problem was responded in a way that that ideal research is not at all, applicable today, because the situations have changed. So I think I don't know sir's name. Srivalsa sir. He also told about the culture of research in India. Yes. So that is something we can have a model upon. But saying something which is there in Western tradition also, which is there in Indian tradition also, saying something that is common, that it is not there and it is here, I think I can't agree to that. I apologize to all the people present here for just interfering in these things. Thank you.
You didn't have to apologize.
From the philosophy discipline.
India is one which is accepted even Charvak also. So there is no question of criticizing anyone. There is no question of defaming anyone. We accept everyone. That is our culture.
See, you're talking of philosophy, but all that we are saying is, with the years of experience that all of us have put together, as researchers, as research supervisors, as teachers, we are finding that there's a glaring gap. In courses that call themselves research methodology, you don't find any mention. I pose it as a challenge to the entire hall over here. You can go back and download all the research methodology syllabi from different universities. You're not going to find any of this. You're not going to find a single mention, or maybe a very few mentions which you can count on your fingers about all these people that you've mentioned. Maybe in the philosophy course you will find it, but in the research methodology course, you're not going to find it. And second thing, you're talking of academic writing. As a supervisor, let me tell you, I put in about 20 years of experience, and these people have put in more years of experience. And I have a couple of my students walking around here. You ask them whether they are confident about academic writing. They are not. Though they have read all those books, theoretically, even teachers like myself, we are not confident of writing. So what happened to all the education system? And the only kind of education system I'm talking of Western, because I was born and brought up and bred in the Western tradition. Because I was taught in the convent education system where my dominant language and the only language that I know really well is English and no other language. So I can speak from that perspective. Because you might be a multilingual, maybe you know how to read and write Malayalam. I do not know any other language other than English to read and write. So I'm using myself as a counter example. Yes.
No, and can I add to that? See, can I add to that? We are talking about one kind of analysis that Sayantan has attempted to make a link between IRM and something else. Let's take it 2 steps further.
Let us look at styles of writing. Okay, well-known quote-unquote Western text by Kaplan, Robert Kaplan. 5 kinds. I don't remember the names now. Cause, effect, something else, something else, something else. And that's it. But even that does not find its way into any RM course. There are so many here who are doing PhDs, who finished PhDs. How many of you have heard about it? Have you at least heard that name, Kaplan? Not at all. Academic writing is a course that I pushed for and brought into my university because I said students are not able to write well. Please let us bring in and separate and make it a mandatory course. And my students cried because when other universities have 3 courses, my university students had to do 6 courses. 1 compulsory mandatory RM, 1 mandatory academic writing. She's making us work, she's making us work, she's making us work. I did not know there are so many of these terms here, which I'm looking at it and saying, how I wish I had known these terms when I was teaching academic writing. I could have given clarity to my students. That is why I asked Sayantan. The question was not to find fault with you, but the little bit of analysis that I could do, he is doing better because there are a more robust set of terms and perspectives in IRM. I mean, I think 1995 or 96 onwards, I've been teaching research methodology till I retired in 2020. At both the MPhil and the PhD level, for distance and residential students. And I'm talking based on that experience. These terms don't exist. The terms we have are narrow. They're very little. And I'm sorry, but I'm just going personal for a minute. When I read the write-up, my first request was, can I please come as a participant and learn about IRM? Either I want to attend to learn. I never thought I'd be asked to come and present. I was drooling at the idea of learning something about it. Not because they are bad and I'm good, but I find it deficient. Yes, there is Locke. Yes, there is Socrates. Yes, there is Plato. Yes, there was questioning. But now let me ask a question. Okay? Date Plato's dialogues. Anybody in philosophy? Date questioning here. Which one is earlier? Historically. You please answer, any one of you who can. But we hold Plato's dialogue, Socrates taught one slave geometry as the beginning of teaching through questioning. It's held up there. Was that who is prior?
Prashnopanishad and Chandogam that he
are much earlier. But we don't even value our heritage, and that is what bothers me. I'm not condemning Socrates' type of questioning. Yes, he did it. Okay. I too thought it was great. Until I found out that an earlier and better alternative existed. And if that is the case, if I in my country, and I'm a Bharat citizen, not just an Indian citizen, I don't know how to call myself. If I cannot value what is in my country, who else will? We need a Max Muller to come from Germany to tell us that we are good. I'm sorry, I'm getting passionate about this.
And also when you're talking of demystifying, right? So the both of us, we have started columns and almost 12 columns have already come out. So the Western methodology we are trying to demystify.
We have called it
Demystifying research. And it is being used right now in research methodology classrooms in IFLU.
My students who are teachers there,
they are using this.
Their students who are doing PhD write back and tell us, ma'am, your article, your column is being used, ma'am. See, I'm very happy, not because I'm great.
But because it's kind of making sense.
It's making sense because we are writing about things that are not there in any RM course. RM courses are not enough.
They're just confusing the students as they did me.
RM. No hands-on experience.
Absolutely.
So I love
He has a question. Wait.
No, I don't have a question. I just want to add something. I'm also a student of political science. I have studied political philosophy, Aristotle, Plato, everything. So I just want to give this small input to this. Beat this, we have examples for sure. The deductive methodology, inductive methodology, we have studied Aristotle. He used the comparative methods. It's fine. But one thing, as you have said, if we'll see the historical examples, we have these smritis, these suktas, the Mahabharata, just I'm working on it. So it might be very new. There are a number of interpolations are being made on it, but you cannot, reject this from the very base. There is nothing else. We just have to. We are just making it for the pride. We are using Indian text just for the pride, and
We are not rejecting it at all.
That is what I'm saying. That usually what happens, being a student of political science, usually the Western philosophy is having this state.
Yes.
The Indian thought, no one is studied. What is this? This has no use. So
That
that's
is
the
because of
problem.
Macaulay.
Macaulay and everyone. No, not Macaulay is a
On
long
shelf.
way back. We have a lot of people.
Macaulay.
All the information is open. There was a time during which it was very difficult to get
To get the
information.
text.
So you are very open. See, if you go through Bharavi's Kiratarjuniyam, you get very beautiful description regarding political science.
Yes.
Who stopped you to read that?
That's why what actually it is what happening, or maybe the problem is with this only.
Face it out. I'm not from political science, I'm not from Sanskrit. As I already said, I'm from the field of Indian medical system. I'm very proud to say this. But still, it caught me too much. Bharavi's Kiratarjuniyam, the Duta comes to Yudhishthira and he explains about Duryodhana's administration very beautifully in the Prathama Sarga. It has been explained very beautifully. That guides very well about the guidelines related with political science. That's one part I'm telling about. So there are so many other informations which you can gather and which you can think very seriously about Indian political science.
Yes, that's why what I'm thinking, this particular platform is being provided to at least think about it,
Yes.
at least recognize
To
something
open
is
up
there.
your mind a
Yeah,
little bit.
I'm not saying everything is so much nice, everything is so detailed, but something is at least recognized. I'm not asking you to just give a state of supreme.
Yesterday I quoted a quotation from Kalidasa. Puranam ityeva sadhu. No problem. Nachamikame naumnityavadhyam. Santa pariksha anyatarat bhajante. Modha parapratyene buddhi. So clear they are. We never denounce any other cultures or languages or such systems. Basically, that is the reason we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And the Rigveda says, let the noble thoughts from all parts of the universe. Anubhadram.
So we are continuing that.
So how there is a
we are good, you are
dichotomy?
bad. Not everybody
Will
is
not arise. Maybe the way you use a kind of expression may sound something different to you. That's it. We are on the same boat.
And especially,
Yeah, when you're talking of demystification, since I am zero in Sanskrit, each time Prasad comes up with one of the names of Tantra Yukti, I would sit like this. Now you're saying Sangati. What is Sangati? Is this Sangati? Is
And
this
I'm
what?
quickly texting to find out the meaning of the word.
I mean, it's not very easy at all for me to understand. Even now I can say maybe many of you caught it a lot more. Maybe I caught only 10%, but I'm finding multiple uses of this 10% that I was able to capture. Sayantan, I'm sure he knows more of all those Tantra Gunas and Doshas because he was able to sustain. And he was there 24/7 and I was pulled into all kinds of teachings and other things. So, but the fascination to our own roots is what we are looking at. I'm dismissing it because I did not find it useful. I had to find my other ways to get written, to get published and to get noticed. That is the problem because these Western methodologies did not take me anywhere. When I went in and sat down as a researcher, it did not make direct connection. I used quantitative methods, qualitative questionnaires, this, that, all kinds of tools are listed. Now which tool should I use in my research? When I go to my supervisor, he does not look at my face like yesterday's drama.
No, and that
Literally happened to me. They threw papers in
I
my
have
face.
heard of enough students who told me that I don't do it, he doesn't do it. Where you go
Purposely
and
we don't do it.
the paper is flung at you. I don't know how many of you have experienced that.
But I have experience.
So my sympathies for all of you.
those things did not solve my question. But I always wanted to do something different with my life and with my research life. But that accommodation was not provided at all. Because they would say, do you have secondary sources? If you don't have secondary sources, you can't work with primary sources. They would say, why? Why can't I work? No, because you won't have your bibliography section. One area was thrown away from me as a researcher because bibliography sections will not have enough papers to be filled in. You will have only 3 or 4 pages as bibliography section. Therefore, you cannot work on this for your PhD topic. And I was a young fellow. I thought, okay, my supervisor is God. Now I know what kind of a victimhood and what kind of, I call it academic rape that was done to me. I've written an article on this. Wow. Go and look up. Please go and check the title. It is called Academic Rape.
Just to, if I can add to your point that yes, I understand. If the paper we did for IIT Roorkee, Prasad sir was the writer also with me. So we have, I am quoting from the paper, we have defined IRM as a quote unquote additional homegrown framework. So we are not homegrown framework.
Yeah,
so
actually,
we are not asking to just throw away the Western framework, and also
completing
like this one of the section is called the correlations between IRM and WRM. So we are not asking for a comparison. We are asking for correlation.
yeah, actually,
So adding to
so many
Sayantan
books
sir's-
are not available. First, you have to know that if you compare the world literature, world ancient literature and Indian literature, if you compare, so many books are not available. That is the main. If you Socrates or Thales, those books are not available now. If you go where the Vedic literature, all books are now available. So we are telling Indian research methodology is there. But where is the Westerners books? If you go Egyptian civilization, Egyptian literature, we are not getting so many books. In same like China. If you go China literature, we are not getting so many books. If you go other literature, Mesopotamia literature or so many literatures. Yeah. That is the main. You have to verify that. In our class, we are searched all things, but we didn't got any those references. If we in Egyptian literature, one book we found that man with discussion with fa. One is the book, the man with his ba. It is the very related to Nachiketo Pakshana. But in that book, that author, who is the author? What is the book? We didn't got. In same like we searched all civilizations, in 5 civilizations we searched, we didn't got anything. So conclusion is that India have that much literature potentiality India have. So we are telling India have a very good research ideology. So India, we will tell IRM is the there. How we can tell that point of view? If you review the Western books all, you have to tell that WRM also there. That is your duty, I think.
No, I see.
There are many commentaries also available.
Yeah, that is also other.
For Western books, nobody is commenting on
First,
that.
no books.
My work is good, your work is bad. And that is why we call it do everything into one shelf. We believe in saying, look, you have these things, I have these things, let's take both, work together. We are not here to throw out Western research methodology because we don't believe in throwing things into the garbage bin. We don't believe in dismissing huge libraries of work. I'm sorry, I'm going back very passionately to Macaulay. We don't believe in taking everything and dumping it into one shelf. And what was that worst statement? Abridgments in preparatory schools. This is like those schools, I read those novels. Abridgment of Pride and Prejudice, Tale of Two Cities. I found them boring. Charles Lamb's retold stories. They never carried the value, and he takes all our literature as if they are worse than abridgment. So, but I still, we are not saying you are bad and I'm good. That's not our purpose. That is why I asked him.
Basically, there is an emotion. See, we are all emotional because of this post-colonial effect. That's it. We are all Indians, right? We are all Indians. There was an American or somebody, foreigner yesterday and today.
One Sri Lankan.
Yeah, of course. I consider
Indian, right.
Indian.
Yeah, same.
So, this is not a conflict between the ideologies. Is it that? We are all belong to same continent, same region. We share the same culture. We have an agony. We have pain inside the herd. That's what expressed. Okay, don't think otherwise. That's why always I've been telling, let us go together. Chale, saath chale, chai piye, khana khaye. We are not making them separated from our company. So anyway, the reason I'm just trying to inform is emotion is there. Emotion is expressed in such a way. That's it, nothing else. And by the way, yesterday and today my talks were scheduled, but unfortunately due to my ill health, I could not conduct the session. But tomorrow morning, maybe after Professor Shivasa's session, I will take for some time, provided he permits me. 30 minutes, something like that. No. Because that's why I'm letting the resource person speak, then I speak, because they're more knowledge than me. I'm also learning like you. I'm also just a student like you. Okay, that's just a clarification. And thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Sayantan, for the fruitful discussion. Now, on behalf of the team, I would like to wrap up today's academic session here. Taking this opportunity, I convey my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for your unwavering participation and enthusiasm. Your presence has added immense value, and we sincerely hope you found today's discussions both insightful and enriching. With anticipation in our hearts, we eagerly look forward to another day of enlightenment and to unity tomorrow. Thank you once again for making today a memorable experience. Thank you.
Before you finish, can we please have a round of applause for the brilliant analysis that Sayantan did on those SOPs. Excellent work, Sayantan. Excellent work. Sorry, it didn't happen because we got right into our discussion. We have to thank you for that excellent work.